Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is time for The Real Money Coach. I am Tony Jackson, and I am excited, as I always am, on Thursday at 8 p.m. It is so good to be with you. I want you to put in the chat box where you are watching from. In the comments, put in there where your name, where you're watching from, and tell me. Let's do something a little fun. I mean, the NBA finals are over. Tell me, were you rooting for the Bucks or were you rooting for the Suns? I know it's over, but I just kind of want to know, which side of the coin did you fall on? I was kind of happy to see the Bucks win. I guess because I got a Bucks T-shirt. I've been to Milwaukee a couple times. I've yet to go to Phoenix, but I am going. I'm going to go to Phoenix one of these days. So listen, I am excited that you are with us tonight. So put in the chat box where you are watching from. And listen, I have had, all right, we got Charlotte, Miss Baker's in the house. Ruth Bell is in the house. There they come. There come my people. I love it. Thank you for being with us, Miss Baker. Mother Ruth Bell, thank you. Dr. Benita Harris, thank you for being here. We got our regulars. We got our dependables. Love it. Speaking of dependables, there's Alice Martin. Nathaniel Moore, thank you. Thank you. You were rooting for Chris Paul, and I get that. He's a North Carolina native. I understood that, felt bad for him that he didn't win a championship yet, but, we'll see what happens. Adele Ryan, thank you for being here. Adele is wonderful in her own right, keeps me in line with so many different things. Great to have her on my team. Wow. So we have the NBA finals are over. And I used to always like, man, what am I going to do between, the NBA finals and football? That used to be my thing. Like, what am I going to do? And I just find myself not watching that many sports anymore. But I tell you what, when football season comes, I will work my calendar around the games I want to watch. So I'm looking forward to football season when it does roll around. I have had the remarkable experience to spend the last 2 days with Mr. Michael Roberts down in Columbia. Meeting with Benedict College and their awesome president, Dr. Rosalind Artis. And so got some great things going on down there. You'll undoubtedly learn more and more about it as time goes. We're really blessed tonight, as we are each week. I just feel like, and I just got to be real with you guys. The Lord just keeps sending these wonderful guests to come on our show. It's just like week after week, I keep meeting people, and I was like, we got to get you on the show. We got to get you on the show because they're experts in their areas. And I do have good news. I think I'm not sure. It might have been Alice Martin. It might have been someone that a week or two had said, hey, let's have someone come on and talk about self-directed IRAs. Well, I have found a self-directed IRA specialist. And so her and I will get together and get a date for her to be on the show. I'm thinking it's going to be sometime in August. Tonight, thank you, Veronica, for being here. Veronica from the Queen City, Charlotte. I'm excited about tonight because we have a wonderful guest that's going to be coming on with us. I'm excited about next week because we got Dr. Leroy Polite, wonderful man, retired dentist, had, 20 some offices in Florida. His daughter is Lorette Polite Young and Polite Children's Dentistry here in Charlotte. My grandson goes there. He loves Dr. Rob. They do a great job with the kids. They got 5 locations now. So her dad is going to be with us next week. And then the following week, we're going to have Get Out of Debt, right? We're going to talk about a debt detox. Our guest will be Miss Kimberly Heinz Winborn. And so we're looking forward to the lineup that we got coming. After that, Pat Bailey will be with us with the program she has. It's called Aging Well. And maybe we'll start putting a little graphic up when we have our show to let you know who's coming up, because we're trying to kind of plan these things out and be able to bring you real life-changing information. Remember, real for the Real Money Coach means relevant. So we want what we bring to you to be relevant. We want it to be educational. We want it to be actionable. And we want it to be life-changing. And so that's all what we're doing. Lime Green, Miss Green, Miss Machana Brown, I believe is correct. But the Facebook name is Lime Green. Wonderful young lady out of California, I do believe. Los Angeles, good to have you part of the Extreme FX family as well. Listen, I have my wonderful co-host, my friend, my wife's bestie. That's what they say, bestie. Back in the day, we would call it Ace Boone Coon, right? So that's dating myself, but she is a wonderful person, wonderful friend. And I don't even know if I call Michelle friend. She's family. I told her brother that the other night. It's like, man, listen, we're just family. We've known each other for so long. And so without any further ado, let's bring on Miss Michelle Mitchell from Mitchell Consulting.
Hello. Good.
Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. You smiling. You got a big old smile today. What's going on? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. You know.
Doing well? Mm-hmm. So, Michelle, let's update us. How did things go yesterday with your conference? We talked about it on the show last week.
Yes.
I believe it was at noon yesterday. So Tell us how'd it go?
It went very well. So a lot of women showed up and we were talking about how to balance your life, family, and your business and how to make it coexist together by creating boundaries. Boundaries. Yes.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries are so important.
So important. Yes.
And I heard from
a lady years ago on television, and she always said, you teach people how to treat you. Those are boundaries.
Very good. Right? Very good. That's good.
That was Oprah.
Oh, that was Oprah?
Yeah, okay, that was Oprah.
Look, Oprah knows a little something.
Right?
She knows a little something.
Yeah, so we talked about boundaries and how to create boundaries in your life, in your family, and in your business.
So you want to give us a couple tips? You can give a couple tips for free for us tonight?
Sure, I can give you a couple tips. So creating boundaries to help you have a balanced life is so important. And creating boundaries is just telling people how you want to work with them. Whether it's yourself, first of all, you got to have boundaries for your own personal self. Like you got to take care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of you, you can't do anything else in your life. And creating the boundary with yourself, like, I'm only going to work so many hours a day, or, I'm going to take this particular day and it's non-negotiable, and that's me time. As a professional or as a CEO, you always need to be growing your mindset about what you do. So setting boundaries around that. Then with your family, your family could, just because you work from home, people think like you're not busy. And they could be
that's like you don't have nothing to do because you self-employed and work from home. I'm like, can you bring my tennis shoes to school? I forgot my lunch. Dad.
Setting boundaries. You cannot call me if it's your responsibility to bring your own stuff to school. That's your problem. You're going to have to do without it today, kid. Sorry. Or, the sister or the mother or the aunt. Oh, can you just run me, blah, blah, blah. You at home during the day. No, I'm working. I'm working. And then with your clients, if you don't tell your clients how to interact with your business, they will run you ragged and they will ask you for things that they're not paying for you to do. It's called creating scope of work. And when you have scope creep, that's when you start to resent your clients and resent what you do for them because it's no longer worth the money. So that's what we talked about. So some of the strategies are to just, sit down and think about what you want your life to be like. Like, what do you want? We don't do this. Like, literally write it down. What do I want? How do I want my family to interact with me during my work day or whenever it is I work, if I work late at night or whenever you work? And then how do I want my clients to treat me? I hate text messages from my clients because I can't track what they're asking me to do. Always send me an email and then it will go into my project management system. That's a system that I've set up for myself so it keeps me on track and I don't drop any balls. So just creating those boundaries for yourself will help you have a more balanced life and you not resent any parts of your life.
That's good, Michelle. That's good. Yeah. Want to give a shout out to Linda Smalls, who's with us, and Dwayne Jones, who've joined us. Thank you for putting your names in the chat box. Listen, that is so important. For me, here's the priority for me, for people to deal with me. The last thing you want to do is call me.
Right.
No. And then I like text messages. I like text messages because oftentimes I can respond to those very quickly and those type of things. And then, of course, there's the emails. So, and each person's different, how you like to be dealt with. And then speaking of boundaries, and then we got to get to bringing our guests on.
Yeah.
Whenever someone talks about boundaries, the first thing that comes to me is my Friday nights.
Yeah.
Because that's my boundary. It's 6:00 on Friday night.
It's your non-negotiable.
It's my non-negotiable. Yep. That is date night. It's been date night for 20 years.
Yep.
Non-negotiable. Right? Boom. Yep. So thank you, Chris McIver, another one of my team members on the call tonight. Thank you for being here. Listen, line, Miss Brown, that was good stuff, right? That was worth the call already. Listen, and we haven't even got to the special guest tonight that is going to break down this topic for us: emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. And so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And so let me tell you a little bit about Mick Alexander. This lady is awesome. I first have started working with her in her capacity as a workforce development officer for the North Carolina Department of Transportation. We've worked with her. We've done some things in terms of access to capital campaign and some things that they've done. She is a dynamite leader. Mick to me is like that ultimate professional, right? So she's a hard worker. I'm not reading off the bio. I'm just telling you what I know about her. We can get to the bio. We can ask her to give the bio, but I'm just saying from my experience with working with her, she's an awesome lady, very professional. She's about getting it done and getting it done right, and so I really respect that. Professionally, she's got over 15 years of experience working with a diverse client base, including AT&T, Coca-Cola, North Carolina, state of North Carolina, University of North Carolina, to name a few. She was CEO of the Overflow Corporation for 17 years. What she's going to talk a lot about tonight is that she is the founder and president of Image Wealth Management, a company that offers consulting, coaching, training, and entrepreneurial programs and services. And as I mentioned, she's also the lead business opportunity and workforce development officer for NCDOT. And we want to bring on the stage with us Ms. Mick Alexander. Hey, Mick.
Hi.
Welcome.
How are you?
Thank you. I am well. I am happy to be here and honored, truly honored to be here.
Well, I tell you what, the honor's all ours. We're just so happy to have you here. And listen, you getting a shout out from Miss Baker. She said Mick is amazing. We got greetings from Connecticut from Miss Renee, Marshana from California. I mean, so we have people from coast to coast. Listen, from Connecticut to California. How about that? Is that a reach? Is that a reach?
We covered it all.
And they showed up to hear from Mick Alexander. So love it, love it. Mick, I really want you to, first of all, we got your bio, but I just want to tell us who you are. Tell us, where you grew up, how you got to where you are now, and then we can break down some of the stuff professional.
Okay, well, let me see if I can condense it. Every time someone asks me this, I realize my age. But I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. And at around age 17, moved to Los Angeles and then Terre Haute, Indiana. I've been very blessed to live in a lot of places, including London and some very interesting cultures. Which I now know, I didn't know then, was preparing me for the work that I'm doing today. I am a caregiver to both of my senior parents who live with me. And it's interesting when I say that, people automatically visualize them in wheelchairs and, really old. But my parents are 87 and 84, and they are very active, very much my support system, but they do need my assistance on a daily basis to make sure they have the things that they need. So I am doing that, and I had the good fortune of working with my dad for 17 years in the printing business, although I didn't realize it as a good fortune at the time because he and I are like that. But we had a really good run. We built a wonderful business. I learned a lot. It was an excellent training ground for me. And it also prepared me for the work that I'm doing. We had as many as 21 employees. And I was never prepared for a business that size or for that level of success. So it was constantly a training ground. And then in 2008, during the economic downturn, I actually lost that business 2 years premature. My plan was to sell the business in 2010, but in 28, we lost a major contract that was a domino effect and caused us to actually close the business. Be that as it may, we fared very, very well because we had assets and we did a lot of the things that I'm training DBEs at North Carolina DOT to do now. We did those things because my mother was very heavily involved in finance. And so she helped us stay on course and prepare for what we didn't even know was coming. So while I fared well financially, I did not do so well emotionally. Emotionally, I lost my identity because I had spent 17 years in the prime of my young adult life doing what I thought was building a business and actually becoming a business. So when it went away, I had a lot of challenges trying to understand who I was now without the business and all the awards and all these things and what was next for me. And so that path and that whole journey of discovery or rediscovery led me to understand image. Really, when I'm talking about emotional intelligence, I'm talking about your image and the image that you project, because what I learned was that people were not buying our printing. They were buying the image of my company, or they were buying my image or the image of the sales rep that they were dealing with. And that really led me to understand how powerful and how fragile image can be, but how powerful it can be if done properly. And so that is the journey that I am still on. I've created this success, image wealth success system for success, which includes a lot of image work and a lot of emotional intelligence work.
Wow, that is listen. Woo, that is awesome. There was so much in just that introduction that we can unpack. I want to do something kind of fun though. I want to do something fun. I want to ask a trivia question, and maybe I don't know. I may have to disqualify you, Mick. But can someone tell me something that Terre Haute, Indiana, is famous for? Terre Haute, Indiana, is famous for. Now you got to be a little bit older to get this, and you got to understand. Let me give you a hint.
Yes.
13 for 1 cent.
Hallelujah. I was doing it.
What you get 13 for 1 cent.
Baker's dozen.
Anybody know?
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm talking about. I think Mick knows what I'm talking about. Terre Haute, Indiana. But y'all, you're from Michigan. That was right down the road. I mean, you were only a few miles from South Bend, but I know this is a little further down. Terre Haute. Let me tell you guys, Columbia Records. Remember when you get the thing in the mail? Now I'm dating myself, and you could order them for 1 cent. You know how they would get you on that, and then you'd be part of the club. For y'all young people, that was before Apple Music. That was before
Blockbuster and all that.
Yeah, we used to order. You get mail order, and you get your CDs, or they moved to CDs. It was
cassettes.
Cassettes.
Yeah.
And you would be on a monthly subscription, and each month they would mail you your CD or your cassette of the month. And that all came out of Terre Haute, Indiana.
I didn't know it came from there.
And let me tell you a little known history fact. My dad, the reason we were there was because my dad was in printing since he was 16. In fact, he was one of the first African Americans in print management in the country. And so he printed album covers.
Wow.
Yeah, he did. So he was big into the record thing.
Adrian Washington said, "You went way back, bro. Man, you must be old, right?" And Chris,
but it's also known for Larry Bird.
Yes. But okay. So I'm not a okay. I'll give Larry Bird, right? I wasn't a Celtics fan. And I was a big Magic Johnson fan because he was from Michigan, of course. Right. And so, they had those battles in college and then went on into the NBA with those same battles. So, but you're right. Terre Haute, Indiana. I remember that commercial that Magic and he had where he rolled up to Terre Haute and Bird was out there playing. All right, anyway, so we digress. I do. You mentioned being a caregiver, and that is coming up again and again in our circle lately. And again, I want to make a plug for on the second Thursday in August. August is coming up. Pat Bailey, her organization is called She Ages Well, and her whole thing is what she does is she helps families that are having that have parents that are aging and things that you can do and those type of things. So I'm looking really forward to that. So I do want to, you mentioned that, so I do want to make a plug on that. 2008, Mick, and you mentioned when you were talking about the business, and it wasn't the money, but it's like you're mourning because it's like losing a part of you.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't understand the emotion that goes into that, because it's like it's your baby, right? Because you reared it, you molded it into this great organization, and then to see it be lost has an impact on you, definitely. So how would you, and I think there's probably a lot of companies that have gone through that because of the COVID crisis. there's a lot of people that may have found themselves in that same position. And honestly, I think a lot of those industries, a lot of the things that we were doing are probably not going to come back. So what recommendations would you give someone who's sitting here today and maybe they're struggling because their business, didn't survive COVID or something like that?
I would say invest in your mental health, and do it when things are going well. So a lot of times we tend to wait until the crisis to actually, we call it practice emotional intelligence. But it really is whenever it's needed, to be able to admit that you are struggling and to be able to ask for help or tell someone to help you find help. That is the greatest indicator that you do have and you are exercising emotional intelligence. Asking for help for entrepreneurs in particular is really difficult because we are taught to fake it till you make it, show, never let them see you sweat, all these things that we are taught in our society shows, quote, weakness, when in fact, asking for help is one of the strongest things that a person can do. So I would say invest in that throughout your journey. Take time, find a good coach, find a good counselor, find a good support system, build one, be a part of one, because also the flip side of that is when you are winning and you're helping someone else to win, it helps you. It helps you to kind of solidify the lessons that you learn. And so helping someone else also shows you that maybe things aren't as bad as you think they are, and there is hope. And the whole name of the game is holding on to hope. It's to maintain hope. It's when you lose hope, and many people have, that you get into the danger zone. So it's preventing that.
Well, I love what you said about asking for help. And it reminds me, early in my career, after graduating, I was working for an insurance company in the accounting department, doing really well. Vice president came down from the corporate office, going to meet with me, right? So we go into the nice executive conference room, and he says to me, "How can I help you?" And I said, "Well, actually," I said, "there's really nothing. I can't think of anything that you can help because, really I want to make it on my own." And then I was later sitting in the pickup truck with Reverend Lee Earl, who was in Jackson, Michigan doing revival. And I was telling him this, and he looked at me, he said, "That was the dumbest thing you ever said." He said, because we all need help. Yeah. And for somebody to ask you how they can help you is one of the most powerful things they can do. Mm-hmm. And, I always remember that moment because we do need to be willing to ask for help. That's why we have this wonderful industry of coaching and those type of things. And I know Michelle is very involved in coaching as well. And so just being able, and then you mentioned the emotional part, getting, the word says that there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. Yep. And yes. So thank you for sharing that. And I hope someone out there, if you're struggling, there's no shame in asking for help. And one of the things that you said, Mick, was do it before you need it.
Yes.
Yeah. Do it while you're healthy. You can't wait for the house to be on fire.
Right.
To buy an extinguisher, right? You gotta be prepared for those things. So
that's right. Practice before the crisis.
Right.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Be prepared. I mean, yes. That's just being prepared. Yep.
Absolutely. So we have this title tonight, and the title tonight is Emotional Intelligence. And I really would like you to unpack that and tell us exactly what is emotional intelligence. Now, I saw somebody act a fool in the store today, and I thought that was emotional ignorance. I don't know if that is the opposite, but tell us a little bit about what is emotional intelligence, and then maybe unpack how does it translate into the professional world or into entrepreneurship. Just kind of unpack that a little bit.
Sure. So I'm going to start by giving you all a definition, the clinical definition of emotional intelligence, which was put forth by Dr. Peter Salovey and John Mayer. If you hadn't heard of them, Peter Salovey is currently the president of Yale University and has been for a number of years. He and John Mayer are actually the founders of emotional intelligence. Many people hear of Daniel Goleman, and yes, he is an expert in this field, but he is not the founder of the concept. So Salovey and Mayer actually came up with this definition, which is emotional intelligence is the ability to process information about your own emotions, and other people's emotions. It's also the ability to use that information to guide your thoughts and behavior. And I'm going to add this little caveat too at the end of it, to guide your thoughts and behavior so that you can win. Okay, so that you can have wins in life. The key to this definition is that emotions contain information. And if one can understand that that is what it is, it's information for you to use to alter something or to improve something, to change something, to stop something, that's what emotions are about. We are taught that the more unpleasant emotions, commonly referred to as negative emotions, I try not to use that term, they are unpleasant. They are not necessarily wanted or timely, but they are very important, and they contain important information. So when we experience them, if we can understand that there's just some information there for us to improve upon, it helps us be able to accept those emotions and to understand that all things are temporary. That's my saving grace. All things are temporary. Things are always going to change. Even the things we don't want to change, they're going to change. And that's going to bring upon new emotions. So this whole idea of emotional intelligence is about having the capacity to understand what emotions are really about, to properly label them, and then to put into play a process that allows us to manage them ongoing. It is a practice. It is much like Tai Chi. I am a martial artist. I've been doing Tai Chi for over 15 years, I think. And what I've come to understand about it is that while you're practicing it, you may not understand why you're even doing it, but suddenly something will occur and it will show up. And that is what emotional intelligence is. It is a practice. It is the idea that life is going to give you plenty of opportunities to practice being emotional intelligent, and getting better at it, developing a skill. It is also referred to as EQ, or emotional quotient, the same as IQ. The difference is IQ, your intelligence quotient, is thought to not be necessarily improved upon. It's kind of you are where you are with your IQ, whereas EQ definitely has been proven that you can improve it. So knowing that you can improve it is the kind of catalyst that gets you to practice. Hey, I messed up. I was the person in the grocery store that went off today. That wasn't good. What tools do I have in my tool belt to practice doing better? And then trust me, you're going to get another opportunity to practice. And then you're going to measure how well you did, how quickly you bounced back if you messed it up, or how well you were able to respond rather than react to the situation. Does that kind of answer it?
Yeah, that last statement it drew me in. Responding versus reacting.
Yes.
What is the difference?
Okay, so a response, well, let's start with the reaction. A reaction is sort of a subconscious kind of thing. It is typically based on your biases, on your belief system, on a lot of things that may or may not be the truth, right?
Mhm.
But you believe them to be true. And so when something happens, you react. There's also this fight or flight. So reaction is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just better if you can respond, because responding means that you have thought through on some level, though it might have been split second, you thought through some sort of consequences or pros and cons or who it might affect. Other than yourself.
Consequences.
So a response is definitely a more intelligent way to address a situation than to react.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
I'll give you an example.
It's like you're pondering that, Michelle.
I'll give you an example. My seafood gave us when I first started learning Tai Chi, because I could not understand why I was doing this thing. I was just told it was something good for me. But he says, hey, you know, have you ever seen a lion or tiger in the wild? When they get startled by something, they don't go and stand up straight and do whatever. They go, and they prepare to respond. And most people, when they're startled or they're upset, they get tight, they get up, they tighten up, and they cannot think clearly enough to get the best response. And so what we're doing is training this out of you so that you go from to
that's good. That's good.
Isn't it great? I was like, oh, I love this Tai Chi thing.
Yeah. So the more you can respond, the higher your intellectual quotient is.
Emotional intelligence quotient. Yeah.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that you would, if you were a client or you're working with a client, what are some of the types of things you have them do to raise their EQ?
Well, before I get to that, let me say this one little thing about what it really is. It's that I refer to it as that thing. Okay. It's that thing that keeps you from winning. So let's define win first. A win is when your intention outcome matches your intention, right? So you set a goal or a barrier or whatever, and people abide by it, to use Michelle's theories. Then you had a win. You set the barrier and they push past it. This doesn't feel like a win. Sometimes you win ugly, okay? And that's still a win. So maybe we're running across the line and we fall at the finish line.
We drag it across the line. It ain't pretty.
But we still won. You know, you wanted that Tesla, but you ended up with a hoopty that works. You still won, right? So the idea of emotional intelligence is to put in place a process that helps you identify that thing. And that everybody has that thing, something. And it's in different areas of your life. Maybe when it comes to being a parent, you're really winning, right? Your kids are well adjusted and everybody's happy. But when it comes to your job or when it comes to road rage, not so much. So it's identifying that area in your life that has that thing. You don't really know what that thing is. You just know it keeps showing up and you're not getting the results you would like to get. Right? That is emotional intelligence. That's the practice, right? And then you put something in place to be able to deal with that. So what are some of the things in place?
So then, Mick, you're saying that the first step is to identify that thing.
It is.
And some of that has to really kind of be
self-awareness,
self-evaluation, identifying that thing that keeps me in. And I would think in our environment and with the real money coaches, what is that thing that keeps getting you to, let's say, saving that first $1,000? And I get to $999,
right?
And then that thing happens, and I find myself starting over again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or I do my budget for a few months, and then that
Right.
thing comes along, and I say, "What the heck with this budget?"
Yes.
So those
Yes.
are okay.
And those are the things that hold you back in life and keep repeating the same cycle because you haven't broken through it.
Yes.
And you break through it with a process or a system, because first there's awareness. You have to be aware of it first, that this thing keeps happening. Exactly. And then what system, what process are you going to put into place so that when you recognize it, you have a support already in place that you just tap into so that you can break through.
You guys are my best students. Now I got some students on the line today. Like, I thought I was your best student. That is very well said. That is exactly right.
Okay, good.
Exactly right. So the first step is self-awareness. I happen to be a person that doesn't learn very well from just reading. I am experiential. So my classes, my coaching, all of that is very much interactive and engaging. So there's physical exercises, including Tai Chi, breathing exercises, partnering exercises. If they don't have a partner, we'll find them a partner to do these exercises. But there are many of them, and it varies depending upon the student. All my clients, I refer to them as students. And we're all students in life, right? We're all learning something. So for those people, just a little caveat, who have a problem with that title, and I have had some. I'm not a student, I'm a CEO. That tells me a lot about where they are. So most evolving adults are okay with being students. And so depending on your learning style and who you are and where you are in life and what your barriers are, changes some of the way that I interact with you. However, there are certain tools that are standard in the system, and those are the tools that I am committed to training to my students so that they can train it to their family and their support system. Because my concept is I cannot process the world as much as I would like to, and as much as I enjoy it. The reality is somehow we have to get these emotional intelligence tools into households. Yale University is committed to getting them into schools. So they have a huge initiative to put it into schools and to give it to young students. But I am more concerned about adults and professionals because we're not in school and we are carrying the load, the majority of the load. So presence drills, we're going to start with self-awareness, which we do a lot of presence drills. How do I get self-aware? Mindfulness, some people refer to it as. Meditation, yoga, whatever your thing is, that's what we're going to use. And then we're going to do self-regulation. So I used to call, before I got certified in emotional intelligence by the International Society for Emotional Intelligence in 2014, I referred to this as mood management. And I've been doing mood management since I'm going to say 2000. Let's say 2000. So I recognized at a very young age as an entrepreneur that every time I got upset with an employee or fired them or whatever, and I wasn't calm in my mindset, I didn't make the best decision. I had some regrets and things. So mood management and self-regulation is the key. It's like level 2 for us, but there's a whole lot in level 1 before you get to level 2. And then the third level is building harmonious relationships. So once I know how to deal with myself, right, and I'm really accurate in identifying what I'm feeling, which is a big challenge for a lot of people, then I can start trying to understand what you're feeling and developing more empathy and trying to identify and be patient with you, because I was there too at some point. And if I'm not there today, tomorrow might be my day. So now I can build a more harmonious relationship. And this is a lot done in families and with teams. I worked a lot with families and with teams.
Well, it's just, you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
if you haven't really dealt with your own stuff, it's hard to help somebody deal with their stuff.
Yes.
You got to kind of take care of your stuff. I mean, you got to fix the junk in your trunk before you can go mess with somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And so that's good. Wow, this is very, very interesting, Nick. I find it very interesting.
Isn't it?
It really is. And it's something that I really, when we first talked and you were telling me, that you were certified in emotional intelligence, I was like, wow, that sounds interesting, but I didn't really know until tonight what exactly it's involved in. And honestly, I'm really impressed with that. And I can see how in a family or in a team where it's so important that you can do those things and become more effective at working with each other, dealing with each other, and those type of things. I love what Adrienne said here. She said, "Put your mask on first before helping others." Right. So that's the whole airplane thing, right? I got to put on my own oxygen mask before I can help someone else.
That's right.
And so I'm glad I read that, because when I glanced over, I thought she said, "Pull off your mask," and I think that's appropriate too, because sometimes we mask how we really feel. We mask it. We put on a facade. We put on this face that everything is okay, when all HE double hockey sticks is going in our life. But like you mentioned earlier, I'm a business owner. I can't pretend like I don't have it together, or I'm a pastor, or I'm the man of the house, or whatever label you want to put on it to kind of as an excuse to hide behind the emotions, rather than pulling the veil back and just being honest about who you are and where you are. And I think that there's some level of becoming vulnerable in order to get there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what's really interesting, the whole fake it till you make it in business, I understand it. And it does have a place. I don't necessarily like it. That's the part of business I don't like, but I do understand it. The thing is, you must have a way to be able to process that with someone that you can trust, so that you can let that veil down. So most people are doing it 24/7. They're doing it with their families. They're doing it at their job. They're doing it with their friends. Oh, I'm great. I'm great. One has to learn to balance that. And that's part of emotional intelligence training. And the training, the work that you do, Michelle, where you're talking about balancing work and life and finding that equilibrium, if you will.
Right.
Again, it comes down to trust. And an interesting fact, Tony. So I do work with corporate citizens, right? A lot. But my private students, 99% of them are males.
Wow.
And
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
You can see that because, in society as a male, we've taught not to cry, not to show emotions, as though those are signs of weaknesses, of weakness. And it's really not. It's not at all. And so I totally can see why there's a lot of males that would kind of go through that because of that reason of who society says that we're supposed to be. Right. And I think women are just a little bit more prone to sharing their emotions.
Yes.
With each other. Oftentimes, you see what I see, and I'm going to talk about Michelle and my wife. They're besties, right? They're best friends. I think they share more with each other than two men who might be equally as close, known each other as long, but we don't share those emotional conversations.
Right.
We don't share about how we feel. Like, what's up, dog? I'm good, man. How you doing? I'm good. Right. Okay, I'm good. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I can't. This is tearing me up. Yeah. And so I get it.
Yeah. Like, man, I'm struggling, and you don't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then how often have we saw that?
Right.
I just didn't even know he was going through that. Yeah. I didn't know she was going through that because we try to hide those things. And I love this EQ, because now I think in many ways, Mick, what I'm reading in it, just from what you're sharing tonight, it gives you the it gives you the license to say, you know what, that ain't working for me, or this is a roadblock that I have that's preventing me from being my better self. So it's awesome.
So yeah, and I think that the males that I've worked with, I really think they like the Tai Chi and the exercise part. They like that martial art thing, but
they're kinesthetic. Most men are, and they have to do something.
Yes.
If they can process through the doing, then you probably can connect with them better.
Yeah. And when I was getting certified in this, it was very clinical, very scientific, where the emotions in the brain and all this stuff. And I was like, I'm surprised I even passed, because I was really not feeling it. It was good information, but I wanted to know, how do I use it? How do I make a difference? How do I break through this barrier?
The practical part.
When I developed the application, the image wellness system for success, I wanted it to be heavy in application. And so it's a very simple, in some ways elementary. Some of my executives are like, it can't be this simple, right? Because they want something complicated and big and whatever. But once they understand the principles, which we already know, we just don't realize we know it, then they find it easy to practice. And the idea is to find the tool that works for you. We give you several. We hope a couple of them stick, and that you will practice them for a lifetime and become masters at them.
That is awesome. Well, Mick, we're approaching closing. I mean, the hour's gone by really fast. Is any last parting? I know one of the things before you go, we want to at least bring up your contact information if someone's interested in engaging with you, working on their EQ, and those types of things that you are an expert and certified at helping them with. So we do want to do that. I just want to give you, any last parting words of wisdom or that you'd like to share with us.
First, I want to thank both of you for having me on and sharing your space with me. And I want to thank my students who are out there. There's a couple of them who showed up today, and I hope they will continue to show up and support you, because this is a wonderful platform. I want to say that right now we are dealing with a lot of adversity, a lot of adverse situations in our culture, and the amount of pressure that we are under as adults, I think, is probably the most we've seen in many generations. I think every generation feels under pressure, but I think even the older generation will admit that we're dealing with some stuff they've never really had to deal with, in the way of information and how fast it's coming, and fear of being sick and death and things like that. So I want to say, keep hope alive. Find a way. If not my system, there are many of them out there, to ask for help if you need it, to know that only emotionally intelligent people have the capability of saying, I need help, and to reach out to those individuals and commit to practicing what they're giving you, so that you can improve the quality of your life and the quality of the life of those who love you, and that you love. At the end of the day, I've had some very successful businesses and a lot of success in life. And what I have come to understand is that none of it means anything if the quality of our life is not good. If we're not laughing and we're not having fun, then we're probably playing the wrong game. And so I will leave you with this question. How often do you have a gut-wrenching laugh? I'm talking that laugh where your sides hurt the next morning, or you let out just a little bit of urine. If you are not able to say, a couple of days ago, then there's work to be done. There's room for improvement. And so if you are that person and you need improvement, you can reach out to us. Thank you for putting my information in there. We are going to be, my team and I are working on some seminars coming up. We would love, and workshops, we would love for your audience and anyone that they know that might need this information to participate. So just go on to the website, put your email in there, imagewealth.com. And if for some reason that doesn't work, you can go to info@imagewealth.com, and we will get back to you and let you know where we are and what's happening.
Listen, Mick, you caught me off guard on that one. Mick, you're always so serious. So, I appreciate it. Listen, Mick, it was absolutely awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Honestly, I knew you, so I knew it was going to be good. But this is more than I expected, really. And I'm so pleased, and I'm glad that there's so many people who are watching. And I want to encourage everyone, if you're even watching the replay, is to reach out, go to our website. It's right there in the chat. Connect with Mick. I don't think that you can get a better coach. And I don't know, personally, I don't know anyone who's working in this space. And I think it takes everyone to come together and we all work it out. So I'm very pleased. Give Michelle a chance to, Michelle, I don't know if you have any announcements or if you just have any last words you'd like to say before we end the broadcast.
I just want to say thank you, Mick, because this is important. People need to know this stuff because there's so many people out there that are just reacting to life, and it's showing up over and over again, and they're having the same reactions. And I'm like, it's not going to get better until you fix you, boo. It is not going to get better.
That's right.
So I'm glad I'm glad you're out there in this space, and I can always relate what you're doing to being a business owner, because we're always breaking down the walls because you can't build that business the way you want it if your mind is not right.
Right.
So this is just one of the other tools that can be in the toolbox to help you get to success. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Michelle was passionate. You hit it. I don't know what else I can say. Listen, this is the only thing I want to say as we close the show is, again, thank you to Mick and thank you to Michelle. Wonderful information. I am so glad that we've done this tonight. And listen, you can watch the replay. So you can go to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube/Real Money Coach. Subscribe to the channel. Rewatch the broadcast. Also, we're live on Facebook. You can go to Every Dot Black to the podcast there. Our podcast, this show is actually replayed twice a week as a podcast on the Every Dot Black channel. And we're also on their Roku TV channel. So there's many ways for you to catch this information. And we're just asking you to also just spread the word, invite others to come be a part of this community. By the way, you can join our Facebook community as well. And that's Facebook/The Real Money Coach. So with that, I am off virtually to California to do a class. Thank you all for being here, and we will see you next week with Dr. Leroy Polite. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.
Good night.